That's a great cover too.
It may seem an unlikely location for one of the world's largest collections of popular music, a colorful orange and white building in rural New York formerly used for raising pigs.
This is another nice thing to talk about. So this is David signed Hunky Dory for me, and then he decorated it with glitter, which I thought was pretty good.
The Archive of Contemporary Music, ARC, and its 3 million sound recordings have called this hog barn home since leaving New York City in 2020 after the rent got too high. But now it may have to move again. There's problems with getting the permits to stay in the space, explained B. George, ARC's founder and director. So now we have to move. That's our main focus now, is trying to find a place, hopefully on one of the train lines that go into New York City.
We moved out of New York City right before the pandemic, and we were paying like $21,000 a month. So it's an incredible savings and preservation, keeping the collection alive, but there's problems with getting the permits to stay in this space. So now we have to move, and that's our main focus now, is trying to find a place, hopefully on one of the train lines that go into New York City. So this is one of 5 rooms containing the collection that is now boxed up, ready to move into a new building.
George founded the nonprofit archive in 1985, seeding it with his own collection of 47,000 records. It's since grown to more than 3 million sound recordings. The archive consists of LPs and 45s, 8 tracks and cylinder discs, along with books, posters, and vintage memorabilia. The music is from across the globe, and the genres range from rock and roll and blues to African, punk, country, hip-hop and experimental. There are album covers signed by the Rolling Stones, Queen, David Bowie, and David Byrne, among many others. One of the rarest items is a '78 record of Robert Johnson's Me and the Devil Blues, which musician Keith Richards purchased for the archive.
This is a British pressing, first Rolling Stones recording, a white label, a beautiful copy in mint, and it's signed by the whole band. Maybe it's, should I take it out of the sleeve? You get a better photograph. But you can see like Brian Jones. And this is Keith Richards' photograph that's been in red ink, been smeared. So this is the Keith Richards Blues collection. Keith has endowed this collection for over 20 years, which is really a wonderful thing for somebody to do. So most of the things are done in his name. And one of the great things that he bought for us, and we'll go over and show you, is an early copy of a '78 by Robert Johnson. And again, nobody knows how many there are, but maybe 10 to 15 are admitted people having. This is Me and the Devil Blues. It's 3 million pieces, so we're talking about every format, right? Cassettes, 8 tracks, LPs, 45s, cylinder discs. We learn through our collection also, so we go to the shelves and we find we have 5 Bert Summers records. And I'd never heard of Bert Summers. Somebody else's here did. So then it's able to be used in a soundtrack. So putting things back into the world, I think, is one of the main things we like to do. And I think that's the whole purpose of having a more public space.
Some people say we're like the dumpster of pop music, George said. I always like to say, no, we're more like Molly Bloom at the end of Ulysses, where we just say yes, yes, yes to everything.
The archive started in about 1985, and the whole purpose was to try to preserve 2 copies of every recording ever made. So a very simple task, and some people say we're like the dumpster of pop music, and some people, I always like to say, we're more like Molly Bloom at the end of Ulysses, where we just say yes, yes, yes to everything.
ARC's goal is to preserve 2 copies of every recording ever made, one to be used as a listening copy, and a second as an archival copy. George says he hopes he can find a new public space to house the archive. He envisions it becoming a public research center that will serve as a library, host resident scholars, and even boast an art space and recording studio.
It really revolves around any kind of popular music from any culture or race anywhere around the world. We really believe that all of this music's important. It has to be preserved. So the whole idea is to get this all organized and then work towards making it a research center, a center for popular music, to go from just an archive to a library, which means things could be checked out or loaned or listened to, and also then a center for popular music, which would focus on people doing research.
As for the value of the collection, the 1,200 LPs in mint condition alone received a formal appraisal of $1.6 million, George said.
It's hard to put a value on it, but we have a really nice collection. It's about 1,200 LPs in mint condition, and that was appraised with a formal appraisal of $1.6 million. So if you want to extrapolate that into $3 million, it's a lot of money. But again, the value is not in monetary things, but in the preserving the music and the beauty of the objects.
But ARC's founder says the archive's value is not monetary. I know for a fact, and I'm probably wrong like every science fiction writer, but there won't be Apple in the future. There won't be Microsoft in the future, but there'll be vinyl, you know, he said.
I know for a fact, and I'm probably wrong like every science fiction writer, but there won't be Apple in the future. There won't be Microsoft in the future. But there'll be vinyl, you know.